Richard, what's good, man?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing? I watched. Did you watch the Super Bowl halftime show?
No. I do I watch sport.
I
Fuck
didn't
no.
watch. Yeah, I didn't watch I don't watch sports. I didn't watch the Super Bowl, but I happened to stumble across like a comedy routine on YouTube from a guy named Josh Johnson, and
Yeah.
he reviewed he did he told sort of did like a comedic skit about the halftime show at the Super Bowl, and he just sort of talked about like the significance of it, the imagery in it, and also the fact that it was just like entertaining. So I ended up watching just like the halftime show on YouTube, and I thought it was like great. And then I watched like a bunch of analysis videos, and I watched other people's like reaction videos to it. So I got like a bunch of information on it, and now it made me like a fan of like the rapper Kendrick Lamar. I started watching videos about him and learning about like the meaning behind some of his songs. And I'm gonna go to one of his concerts next May. I bought
Holy
tickets to
shit.
his concert. Yeah, yeah. I thought it was just like the perfect. Like to me, it was like because in the show there's like it's like a live performance with rap and props and a stage and dancers and lighting. And I saw some like behind the scenes camera movement stuff. And so I thought it was like such a good, entertaining thing. But then also the deeper I went into it, like there's imagery and there's like messages and stories built in there. And that makes it like inspiring because then it's like, wow, like what a compelling way to like tell a story and like deliver a message. And for at this moment in history, at that time, like this, to be featured at the Super Bowl with the message that the show had at the current time of like, given politics and everything, it was such like a right time, right message, and very like self-aware show. Like a lot of the messaging, like there was like messaging in the show that sort of like predicted like some of the people that criticized it or whatever. Their criticisms like mirror the way that the show was claiming that uh, performances like that are always like critiqued by like America, the nation that says it's like, treats everyone equally, everyone's equal, but then sort of does these things to like push some people down and others up.
What? Doesn't treat
Uh,
everybody well, okay. It treats everybody
yeah.
without money equally, and that is treated very shittily. Shittily is that a
Yeah,
word? That
yeah.
shitty? Yeah, they're treated like shit. There we go. Fuck, if
Yeah,
you have no
so
money
there's
and
like
hate, come
right.
on.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's like hypocrisies, like because I feel like the party line of America is like, everyone no matter can like come here and live the dream, but then in practice that's only true if you're like the right race and the right privilege in the right city, and you sort of operate and say things the right way, then you will be able to maybe have a shot. But if you don't like obey, like the powers in America, then they don't let you just sort of express yourself or talk about your message. I think and that's like something that at least, yeah, that's like one of the many things that I took away from the halftime show, despite it just being like entertainment, like in general.
Fun.
Yeah, it was
Hmm.
pretty wild show. Yeah. But it's crazy.
Oh,
Like I've seen like it just happens that like Kendrick Lamar, his songs are like filled with like imagery and like multiple layers, and a lot of them are like some kind of personal story. Like he himself like grows in his life, and then he makes an album that is delivering like sort of his thoughts and reflections on his transformations, like in song, in rap, I guess. And that's kind of cool. I'm interested to like watch more analysis videos of his other records and then like listen to them and try to get like a more of appreciation, because this is connected with what I always want to do. Like I just want to, I make like simple video games, but I want to understand more. Like I feel like I could learn something from, even though this is a very different field, like this is rap and this is albums and music, but I feel like the ideas of storytelling and the way that stuff is like the way that like lyrical verse in rap sort of draws analogies between things, I feel is very compelling and clever. And so then to think about like how do I make like a video game that comments on things, but not in a direct way, but in like a more of an entertaining indirect way.
Yeah, no idea. Huh.
Yeah, it's inspiring. I guess it's like a good source of inspiration because to see like someone take like an abstract idea and then build like an album around it and then see like one of the best people do that has the most success with it. Then you sort of get a sense for like what kind of like what is an audience willing to sort of like follow along with, or you get a sense for like how smart the audience is, like given the clues that they were given like in an album, they sort of dissect it and they figure out the meaning. And then it's impressive to see that like that people listening to music are like connecting with it deeply when it's not it's not handing them the messages. It's sort of things are encoded in like poetic verse. And
I used to do poetry.
Yeah.
But you know what I realized? Like you're there appreciating the lyrics and stuff. I never pay attention to lyrics. I have never ever paid attention. What I listen to, because music to me is the music. It's not the words. Yeah. What is the melody telling me? That is what I listen to. The melody speaks to me in ways that words cannot. So music to me are the musical notes, not the words that are sung. So I noticed that I gravitate towards orchestra stuff. So, multi-layers, and it's like that, or like just really beautiful piano pieces, not repetitive things, because I find a lot of songs like hip hop or rap or
pop
new
songs,
age, or you got four chords.
I don't like that repetition. It's annoying.
And a 4x4 key signature, and sometimes it changes, and you got, it's, I don't know. I could do that too, but what I like is when music breaks beyond that and flows like it's telling a story. So same idea, kind of like telling a story. We all like stories. That's part of human nature. Storytelling has been around since fucking cognitive revolution. But like a story through musical notes. People, when they listen to my stuff, the way it ebbs and flows, they can feel the emotion behind it. And yet I can just smash 3 songs off in one sitting. And yet every song that comes from me flows through my fingers under the notes is its own story. My only problem is I don't want to work the tech to record it because I'm scared / yeah, I'm scared.
Yeah, it is scary. Yeah, it changes. Yeah, we talked about that before. Like the act of recording interferes with the expression. I'm kind of curious. Like in recording studios, like I get the impression that these famous artists, they book time at studios, and so there's a moment where like they're in the studio, they have someone for Kendrick Lamar specifically, like this guy named Mustard is a different guy who makes the beats. And like Mustard makes beats, he sends them to Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar picks the one he likes. Then at some point they're in the studio, they're writing verses. But there's like work back and forth. There's like a producer in there as well. And producers like sit in the studio and they like, maybe the whole song is not written, maybe the beat is not finalized, and they're like piecing together the song like in the moment over a course of like couple hours, like many sessions, many weeks or something. They're like going back and forth, altering verses, like trying different things to develop like the finalized song. And that's something that's interesting to me because whenever I've seen like a couple of clips of like producers, they're always saying stuff like producers will have the artist just like sing nonsense, or they'll play back different stuff and they'll listen to it and they'll talk about like, they'll use like artistic language to describe like what changes might have to be made to like to improve the track. And that's very interesting to me that like there's human beings, that are like making money, getting paid. They have a deadline, but they're talking like they're not just like as soon as the song's done shipping it. They want to like infuse like some feeling and emotion into it in a way that's not just like chasing money. Like they seem to be trying to like they're always like they're sort of putting in expression in there at the same time that they're thinking what will sound good or what will people like. And
yeah,
that's
that whole
interesting.
whole process seems synthetic
Uh-huh.
to me. It's like they're trying to force
Yeah. Well, that's the
it.
thing is like how to do it in like ideally it would preserve the authenticity, but perhaps like it can't preserve 100% of the authenticity, but like it's like that's the only way. Like, no one would ever hear the song unless it's like recorded or performed in some way. And how do you deliver the song to other humans in a way that doesn't compromise the song's ability to like remain authentic? That's kind of an
Yeah,
interesting challenge. Yeah, because it's sort of the same as like we have ideas in our heads and we need to get them out there. But once we get them out there, then we need to package it and send it to people. And both
yeah.
steps can affect. Yeah.
You do it. You record while you're doing it. The creative process
Mm.
needs to be recorded, and eventually, as you guys are doing it, like whoever the artist, what you don't do is you're like, oh, let's pick this beat and like, oh, these lyrics sound nice. Now let's make the lyrics in whatever rhythm fit this repetitive beat. That's synthetic. That to me isn't the true. That's creating music, but it's not really creating a story. Not in my mind. And yeah, it may sound good. You may have a good ear, and it might seem like it, but that's too piecemeal. You can't do it piecemeal. You have to do it. It has to flow through you. And the more people you have, the more complicated it is. Unless you are the mastermind composer who is creating that piece, where you create the original melody and bass, you develop it based off of what sounds good to you, it flows through you, and then you add the different elements in to augment the story. And so you can do that and then have an orchestra play it back to you if you want it real life, or you can have the machine play it back to you. But I find like percussion, percussion does have its value for sure. Totally. And these other instruments, yeah, they add value, but what really matters to me is the melody, the bass, possibly harmony. And you can do that all with a piano. It doesn't matter what instrument you're using. Orchestras are neat because you got different types of sounds, and violin, cello, all that goes together really well. And with violin, it has a different effect. Anyway, these are my thoughts. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like the more you piecemeal something, it's more like Frankenstein. It's not true. It's not growing organically. It's pieces added together. And the Frankenstein's monster, rather, well, is never depicted as some sort of beautiful creature. It's always hideous and fucking shitty.
Yeah. It's like in some sense, I guess I guess the problem with popularity is that like really bad, like at a high level, things that are popular with everyone are very like bland. But then there's like a sweet spot, like niche, where things can become like very popular but remain within like an audience that is like discerning people that really look for the good stuff and evaluate it, and then like they find the stuff that's the best. But that stuff never becomes like globally popular by everyone because not everyone wants like they don't want that very precise like crafted stuff. But that is like a test for a track. Like if you make a song, whether it's got like vocals or not, if it reaches like if you can like make it in a way where like everyone sort of comes to agreement that it's quality and they all start listening to it and supporting it, then that proves that like it delivered something, but you don't want to like overshoot because if it's like too likable by everyone, then it's sort of just more of like a bland like pop song. So it's almost like it's like, but I feel like Kendrick Lamar may be like, I think he's became like very popular in the last year, but I don't think that's compromised his message yet. I feel like he still is like perhaps the best rapper in the world, but like not known on a global, like people reject him because they listen to his music and it doesn't like appeal to them in the way that like club, good sounding club music would. And so then they
Eminem's
don't.
the best rapper in the world.
Yeah, I've now seen a couple interviews where like Eminem definitely like there's a YouTube short of Eminem saying like Kendrick Lamar is a real legit like guy writing verses. Like I guess Eminem, you could say Eminem's the best, but Eminem definitely he's on the record saying like he really appreciates like Kendrick Lamar's ability to write music. And there's no ghostwriters. I guess I assume neither of them are using ghostwriters, so they really are like both good.
Yeah, I saw. I wasn't aware what ghostwriter was, but I think that's what AI that makes songs.
Where ghostwriter is just like the artist puts their name on the track as if they wrote it, but it's written by like other humans as a collaborative like effort. A lot of people say like, for example, Drake has like 20 or 30 people like helping him write songs, but it comes out as like a Drake song, but like all of these 20, 30 people that are like helping him write, I don't think they get accredited. They're considered like, they're like, they get paid, they're like employed, but they, cause you can have you can have a book like Ghost. Like if a celebrity writes a book, usually it'll be like, it'll appear as though the celebrity like wrote their own book. Like, like Obama wrote his memoirs, but like a ghostwriter like wrote it, like some other human, and that person like doesn't, I don't think they get like explicitly credited. It's just shown as like the author was the celebrity, but actually like someone who is not named was like paid to write the book and do the writing itself. But then like
what the fuck is that about? Who would sign up
there's
to
also
do that? Just make themselves fucking popular. That's
I
dumb.
guess there's also like in marketing and like advertising and even product manufacturing, there's like white label brands. So like a white label firm, like you hire them and they might like make like a design for you. They may even like design like a car, or they design like an advertisement, but then they don't like put their label on it or anything. Like you just pretend like if you're like Kraft Dinner, you might make like a commercial or like a box design as like Kraft Dinner. And so it's like, you think it's designed by like Kraft Dinner, but actually the company like Kraft Dinner hired some random like design firm, but that firm never gets named. Yeah. So I think it's sort of a similar thing. Like the people who do the actual art are just like paid to do the job. And then but like the way that the art, like the art is delivered in the end as like, oh, this, Kraft Dinner, or like this musician or this author, like this celebrity, like publishes the end result with their approval. But then like and I don't know, I like, people always learn like who the ghostwriter is, but I just feel like the ghostwriter's name doesn't appear on like the title page of the book. Maybe it's mentioned like this book was written with assistance from some firm or something, but I know for sure it's like the ghostwriter's name doesn't like appear, in big letters on the front of the book at least.
Yeah, so like I get it for like designing, because as a design company, like you may not have the capability to make the goods or be even interested in doing that. Like it's like that I get, but the creation of music, I mean, that's what artists do. Like if you're going to make the music, the notes, and produce it, why don't you just slap your own fucking name on it? Like, why give it to Drake?
Right.
And whoever Drake's ghostwriter is, or are, ghostwriters need to be all fired because they suck. Drake sucks.
Well, that's the interesting thing is like, it's like they all kind of like, they're not coming up with anything amazing, but when they give it to Drake and Drake says it, it makes like hundreds of millions of dollars, because there's like this whole like what a weird apparatus, eh? Like, you know, like a rapper that can, like, his name alone pulls in like $100 million, and the song is not even good. It's not even written by him, and it, you know, if it was published without his name, it wouldn't make any money. But it's like together, you know, like a team of writers, Drake the name, the record label promotion, it all works together to like generate so much more value than any of it is worth alone.
Okay.
Which is bad. It's kind of bad because then we just get flooded with this music that's like not that good, and it's takes up all the bandwidth in the channels.
You could say, man, be frank. You get flooded with fucking trash and monotone garbage. I don't get it. He sings like two notes, like blah 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 blah.
Well, it's funny to hear you say that too, because like the more because like Drake, you know, Drake and Kendrick were in this big rap battle, and everyone now unanimously is like saying like Kendrick is by far, like, that was the culmination of Kendrick's victory. Was Kendrick performed his Grammy-winning diss track against Drake at the Super Bowl halftime show, and everyone in the audience like chimed in at the key moments, and so that was like seen as like just completely destroying like Drake in terms of the rap battle. And that's so then now I've since learned, like, you know, I now watch like reviews of Drake's stuff, and people say his most recent stuff is not like amazing. It's kind of flat. But then I can compare like Kendrick's stuff being like really good, and it's very deep analysis that people do. And then like they sort of like say that, you know, they're not even really interested in Drake's stuff. And it's interesting. It's a good example for me to have, because it's like now I can see like the stuff that, you know, might sound good in the club but is not really deep, and then the stuff that's like really an achievement of some kind, and you can listen to both, and it's kind of fun to sort of see like how you know, you come to the conclusion like one, the more you listen to one it sounds better, and the more you listen to the other it sounds worse. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I haven't heard all of Drake's stuff, but what I have heard within the last 5 years, I don't know if he had talent. But
yeah, I tried to find his best stuff. I'm always, whenever I find an artist, like I was trying to find like what's Drake best known for, and I wanted to find like a video that like, you know, explains why it's good, but I didn't look very hard, but I've definitely came across like Kendrick is making his best stuff like right now, like he's doing like a world tour concert, and that's what I'm going to in May, so I'm gonna see like the stuff he's most popular for, the stuff that's winning like awards and stuff.
Nice. No, good for him. Hopefully he's doing his own shit, not ghostwriters.
Well, that's another story. Is in Kendrick's past history, when Kendrick Lamar first went into the studio with Eminem, and they were like they were collaborating on something. Eminem ordered like everyone to leave the studio except for him and Kendrick, because Eminem wanted to make sure that like Kendrick was able to write like a good verse on the spot with like no help. And the story is that like he did, you know, Kendrick came up with something that was good, and that proved to like Eminem that like this guy is the real thing. He's not, you know, he doesn't rely on anyone in his crew to like do the job. So that's like another random story about Eminem like vetting like Kendrick. It's kind of funny to see stuff like that.
Boy. Yeah, he doesn't.
You never would think that they do that stuff, but like, I guess they care a lot about the music, and they want to trust each other and stuff.
If he's going to endorse him too, he wants to make sure he's a real thing and not draking it up. So, you know, it's interesting. It's, you know, maybe Drake did have talent, but then when you contract it all out, and I don't know, I just see him sort of as like a brand, as a name that produces music, but it becomes more like a conveyor belt of songs. Wow, I can't even say that damn word. Right. Instead of like you're manufacturing products instead of playing, composing, creating music. I don't. Yeah, it's.
Yeah, I feel like it's connected to like. Yeah, it's definitely, you know, it's like just making music to make money, not connected back to anything real. And the like Drake himself, perhaps not undergoing like profound growth as a human being, perhaps like just too insulated by money and helpers and distracted, not really, because you see sort of reflected in Drake's life and in Kendrick's life, like Kendrick, now has a family, has kids, like is invested in them. He's, the albums that he's making are some touch on his past history, some touch on like his newfound purpose in life as like a father and stuff. And that's like real growth that is impressive to see, like he's tapping into like what it means to be human and stuff, and what connects him. But then Drake is still, for whatever, like just rapping about like going to clubs and drinking, and it's not, it's like it's entertain. It's like maybe it sounds good to like dance to or something, is what a lot of people say, but it's not like transformative or like revealing about anything profound, because it's just like fooling around with like rich people basically.
I'm like, I have enough money to be comfortable. I don't have enough to go buy a mansion in the middle of wherever I want in a mountain and have supplies fucking parachuted into me, but I got enough to be comfortable and enough to pull away from the system and not be a slave to it. So, I mean, I have what I want. I have what I need. Now, I'm finding the hardest part is actually fully, truly unplugging, where you're no longer dependent on the system. And as long as you're tied to the system, you have to respond to inputs, whether it be from the government, paying your taxes, managing your investments, talking to the advisors, this and that, right? There's always something. Every day I get 5 emails I have to action. Every day. I'm retired and I have to do shit every fucking day. Now, it's not all time sensitive, and some people are like 5 emails. Oh, I gotta do fucking 25 to 100. But the point is, like, there's always inputs. And, like, I'm actually focusing energy and time to reduce the number of inputs, to reduce the complexity, to focus on the things that I want to do. Being able to grow my own food, cook that food. I've been actually taking some time to learn how to cook properly. Compose music. Learn about naturopath medicine, the gut biome, and how the body works. And even just like trying to do that, like there's so many obstacles in the way. All that to say is, I don't understand why people need more. I don't know why they need several $100 million. Like, why? Why is there this need in human beings to have more, to consume more? I don't get it. Like,
Yeah.
I want enough to be insulated, to not have to be a slave. But at the $1 million, $1.5 million mark, I'm there. I'm there with my passive income as is, well, connected to the government. I want to actually sever from the government. That's the thing. But it's like, I don't get why people need several $1 million, tens of millions of dollars, $100 million. I don't get it. Grow a company or this or that. Why is there this compelling need to grow, to produce something, to contribute to the system? Because every company out there, like it or not, they have to make money, provide some sort of service to be relevant. But why do it? What drives people?
Yeah, I don't see as much like the only thing I ever can connect it to is like at some level creation of art, like whatever companies are doing, like whatever value they're generating, at some point it's got to tie into like art creation, or else it feels like it's hard to make the argument for anything else being like an end in itself other than creating art that like might inspire other humans.
Like, I get the need to have a sense of purpose to create something, but I don't get why it has to be on such a grand scale. Why can't we just do it within our community, which is, or within our family? Why does it have to be massive? Why do people have to form companies to provide a service or to, you know what I mean? Or to create a product? What drives them to do that? What's the point? Why grow? Because, I mean, they want to add value. What's the underlying reason? To make money, to add value? Why not just do it within your community? So I just don't get why it has to be on such a grand scale to satisfy these people. Why not just have enough to insulate yourself from the system and live your life doing the things that you want to do instead of having to spend a third of your life working or less. I mean, I imagine if you are if you're your own boss, then you can determine your own hours. But
especially since like the efficiencies or the gain that these corporations create never seems to be used to like lower the bar to make it easier for us all to like insulate ourselves. Like after like the last like 60 or 80 years of like development, we should only have to work 3 days a week and only for like 20 years of our life to achieve enough like value or insulation to like leave the system. But it's messed up that, you know, after all of this like efficiencies and everything, it's like harder than ever to get out of the system. Like the whole point should be to help people leave, not to bind them like into it.
You would think, but yeah, that's not the case. It seems like it's all about maximizing profit at the expense of people. And I mean, if I saw it differently, I would look for that. Like I would try to be more optimistic and be like, oh, you know, it's corporations take care of their people. They absolutely do not. They do not take care of their people. So it's about squeezing as much blood out of them as they possibly can before they burn out. So yeah, it's like, why not redistribute that wealth into the people? Now, I say this, but I remember reading inside Steve's brain and how they set up the headquarters in California. Like, it's not just a multi-story office building with cubicles. It's like a community. And, you know, there's like and also in Disney as well, like the studio, they have like their own little university. They have a cinema. They have cafes and areas where people can work and collaborate together. Much different than the office building setups that you see. And when I was in, where was I? Holland, and I was in a hotel, I looked across and I saw like this big building which was the sure I was looking into sort of like industrial area. Well, not like manufacturing, like more like a business sector. And a whole bunch of windows, open floor, and it looked like it wasn't individual cubicles where everybody was cut off. It was like this sort of open collaborative workspace. And it looked like people were actually like happy to be there. They had all that sunlight coming in. I think I vaguely remember some exercise equipment. So, I mean, like, that's cool. And like, you're creating a culture or a community within the company where it's like people actually want to be there, but that's very much not the case across the board. Like, you can imagine the call centers and the other buildings, and it's like, I just think of the headquarters, the military. Oh my god, that was the fucking worst.
Yeah.
I was
really
like,
gray
really?
and depressing. Yeah.
I went from having a corner office and my own parking spot to having to pay for parking and having a cubicle with no natural sunlight. I'm like, what a promotion. Thanks, guys. Where's the exit? But I was initially saying that about Apple. I also hear it's a very cutthroat work culture. And what's his face? Is it Tim Adams or whatever? Like, he's not too bad. He's actually changed his stance. Steve was kind of an asshole, but he was like really trying to drive a perfect product that was always innovative, beautiful, and was very, very involved with everything. And it was Tim Cook, I think was his name. And Tim is more interested in maintaining. Well, there's a little bit of growth, but he realizes that people will continue to buy the products if there's a slight improvement and a number increase. So iPhone 17, 18, and in 20 years, it'll be iPhone fucking 50. But obviously, the math wasn't thought about there. But it's like he's kind of just catering now to what the people want. I don't know if it's still the same cutthroat culture as it was under Steve, but from what I've read, they've really invested in their infrastructure to create this beautiful community where people work collaboratively. And then I think they give shares to the employees, so then they have ownership and want to do well for the company because their wealth continues to grow as well. And that's a model that makes sense to me. Instead of just paying employees a minimum fucking wage, like Tim Hortons, or even less because they bring in immigrants and are compensated or something. I need to get my facts straight with this, but there's a reason why they're bringing in all the immigrants with these programs and not hiring teenagers or whatever. Like, it's more cost effective. Or they have more leverage over them, or they can just fucking shit can them and send them or deport them if they don't comply with whatever conditions are given. So it's like, I don't know. I think companies, franchises are parent companies that have bought up all their franchises are more focused on profit than they are about the care of their people.
Yeah.
One more thing I'll say. I met, the Colonel from KFC, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
So he was an older entrepreneur. He started much later in life, and he's actually an inspiration, and his story should be looked at by everybody because it's never too late to start your own business. Like, you want to share your recipe with the world, then that's the way to do it. It tastes good. Why not have other people enjoy it? You want to bring a nice fried chicken to people, and there's a reason why he did it. And then eventually he expanded, and it wasn't terrible for you back in the day. I met the dude who was his right-hand man in Canada, his advocate, who would host the Colonel when he came here. And the Colonel was a very simple man, and this is why, kind of like, he lived in a bungalow when he came to Canada. It was very, very simple and very pleasant, apparently, to be around. And this fellow who I was talking to, he's the owner of a very simple bike shop in Milton. It's crazy that I stumbled upon him, and why we started talking about this, I don't remember. But he's sharing a story about the Colonel. And he's like, I'd go with him across Canada, booked a trip to travel. And we would go and we would try out, like, the franchises were growing, they were expanding. And he would try out the recipes, and he'd eat the chicken all the time. And he's like, there's no problem with my health. It's fine. I'm like, he's like 75, 80 right now, still running his business because he loves what he's doing. And he's like, nowadays, don't eat it. Do not eat KFC. It was bought out by some fucking parent company. I call it parent company, conglomerate. And they reduced the amount of chicken, increased the amount of batter. And he's like, the batter absorbs the shortening, and it makes it absolutely fucking terrible for your health. Like, I don't eat it anymore. He's like, you want a recipe that's closer to the way KFC used to be, you go to Mary Brown's. And it just goes to show, it's like they have made their product more unhealthy. They have shrunk the amount of meat that they used. increase the amount of cheap batter at the expense of our health to maximize profit. Just like how they use like certain chemicals or whatever they use in the fryers, so they have to clean it less. So the less often you have to turn over, or the less turnover for the oil, you can reduce costs. But if the ingredient that's added to this oil or the oils that's being used is bad for our health, it find that profits are increased at the expense of the consumer or the employee. That's the wrong direction. And I don't understand why it's allowed to happen. And the people sitting in those chairs need more money, more profit. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's too bad we can't like consider like if KFC had found a way to maintain the recipe and increase wages and empower like employees, like that should be what's celebrated by everyone up and down the chain. And like, like the advertisements could like reflect that, and people could sort of like feel like they're really supporting like their own community by going to KFC or something like that. But it's too bad. Like it's so easy to just like make the number go up, and then everyone's like, yeah, sure, I guess that works, and they don't really pay attention to like what's being lost when the number goes up, because they don't like track all these other metrics or something, or have any attachment to them.
Mm-hmm. Money is the wrong reason to do anything worth doing. Is basically what I'm taking away from our conversation, whether it be music or working or building your own empire, your own business. Money is the wrong reason to do it. It's just a means to an end. It can't be this sole reason. Anyway, any final thoughts, man? I gotta get going a little sooner than.
No, yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'm gonna go do another Orange Theory workout later tonight. Yeah.
All right, enjoy. It was good.
Yeah,
good talking with you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.